I'm going to begin with you, Oleg. It must have been incredible to be the lead role in a movie of this nature. I mean, obviously you're used to performing, but this must require a whole new set of skills.
Ну, Олег, сначала вопрос вам, потому что, естественно, вы главную роль исполняете в таком фильме, вы не привыкли к актерской игре. Вот хочу спросить, так сказать, как вам это удалось?
Это было замечательно, это было хорошо, мне это все нравилось, но ничего бы этого не было, если бы не один человек, который рядышком со мной сидит.
Well, it was excellent and I loved it. It was good, but it wouldn't have happened without this person who is sitting next to me.
Да, потому что это человек, для меня это человек, я его называю монстром.
This person for me, I call him a monster.
Он с хорошей точки зрения, потому что я беру с него пример, это мой показатель, это мой пример, как мне нужно, что нужно делать и как.
And in a positive sense, he's my example. I look up to him in what needs to be done and how should be done.
You're talking about Nureyev?
Да, то есть это имеется в виду, что Нуриев, то есть он мне показал Нуриева, какой он. Как мы думаем о нем, какую мы хотим историю показать о нем.
Well, Raif actually showed me Nureyev as a person, or Nureyev as a person we want to depict in his story.
То есть я о нем узнал очень много информации, и это совершенно, то есть у меня поменялось мнение о нем просто кардинально.
I found so much about him and I completely changed my opinion about him.
Very first, going to wonder, why did you think in this instance it was important for you to hire a dancer who could act as opposed to an actor who could dance?
Well, I think dancers have ballet dancers particularly have very specific physicality in the way they move. Of course, there is a version of making this film where you could cast an actor, but you would need to use extensively a bodied dancing double, unless that actor would happen to be a great ballet dancer. I felt that if I had a dancer, I knew we would be shooting in a limited time frame, and that the ability to swap out dancing doubles in a scene would denied me by the time limitations. And I thought we were financially very challenged, and therefore our time to shoot is challenged, and therefore if I can get a dancer so I can shoot the scene and not have to worry of cutting away to someone else's arm or leg or back, I would achieve the filming schedule, but also I thought that makes sense, that this is about a great dancer, that to have that someone who's can sit at the bar and do a warm-up exercise and we can follow on their face and go to their feet and their legs, that felt like the dream ticket. I knew it would be a challenge to find a dancer who could have a screen acting spectrum. I mean, lots of people can act within a small spectrum, even if they're not actors on film. But to have someone who can express the range of temperament, mischief, humour, arrogance, or there's a whole range of things that Oleg had to be able to inhabit. We did some tests and I pushed him a bit, and then he showed me that he has a real fantastic screen acting instinct.
I mean, the film is a real celebration of art in many ways, isn't it? I mean, it's a dark tale and ultimately quite a sad one, but it's about the unwavering pursuit of artistic expression.
It is.
And do you think that's the universal kind of appeal to this? Is that even not specific to this man's journey as such, but this notion of kind of fulfilling our dreams in the face of adversity is something, it's a kind of concept that is appreciated anywhere, I suppose.
It is. I think it could be the same if it was a sports star or about a singer or anyone who... It's an extreme performance art ballet, I think. The body is tested in public in a very, very precise, defined way. And if you read a little bit about Nureyev, his kind of messianic dedication to perfecting himself is riveting. And his hunger for all art forms to inspire him always moved me very much, which is why I was determined to have at least two scenes where he's being totally absorbed by a painting. Because a Rembrandt or the Géricault in the Louvre, these paintings he wants to sort of put them inside, infuse himself with the spirit of a great painting or great piece of music. He apparently devoured Russian literature. He taught himself to read music and to play the piano, I find that all for the end result of being in front of an audience to express something that we, the audience, are marked by and are moved by. And I think that why do we go to the theatre or the opera or the ballet? Because we want to be affected by something that changes us and takes us beyond our new everyday human boundaries and inspire us. And that was his life's dedication. I just found it very moving.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time today, guys. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
David, I'm going to begin by just asking, as a storyteller, what was it about this particular tale that appealed to you and wanted and compelled you to want to tell?
Well, if you're my age, it's a familiar story, and you think, oh, I've heard the Nureyev story before. But the minute Ralph Fiennes asked me to look into it, it turned out I didn't know the story as well as I thought I did. And actually what I loved is the drama that, he was 6 weeks in Paris, and then he was taken to Le Bourget airport. And when he saw the Soviets waiting for him and saying that he wasn't to be allowed to move on with the company to a London season, but that he was to fly back to Moscow, he at once understood that he was facing the most important choice of his life. And he had precisely 45 minutes to make that choice. And in that 45 minutes, he made a choice which determined the rest of his life. Now, how many of us will ever face a moment like that? And I just thought it was so dramatic.
And it's sort of fascinating art in pacing as well for you, because I guess you've got this huge moment, which is kind of film's kind of building up to. And how much was the kind of structuring for you and working out when do we put that moment in and how do we kind of...
No, we always knew that obviously that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
And we also knew that the moment that moment was over, the film was effectively finished. Yeah. And we shot some material that goes after that decision. But it all got cut because, there's nothing to say. Once you've made the most important decision of your life, all the film can do is clear its throat and disappear, I think.
Yeah, because I really like the sort of non-linear approach as well. I was just wondering about, what was the decision behind kind of jumping up the kind of narrative?
Well, I'm always the person who is brought to, they always bring me these ones because I wrote The Hours, which is, if you like, one of the, at the time that I wrote The Hours, at exactly the same time, Arriaga wrote Amores Perros. And a three-way structure is a wonderful thing because a three-way structure is something an audience can grasp, but they never know what's coming next. And what's boring in most films is that by the time you get past the 45-minute mark, you can pretty well tell which way they're going. You know. And so the wonderful thing about a three-way film is you never know which way it's going and what's going to come next. And so I love three-way structures.
I mean, you've obviously written for some incredible directors before. How does Rafe compare to some of the people that have taken on your words?
Well, he's got the most important qualification for a film director, which is that he's collegiate. I mean, nothing is stupider than the auteur theory, and nothing is stupider than the idea that the film director is the lone genius. And actually, all the greatest directors I've ever worked with listen to the cinematographer, listen to the editor, listen to the actors, listen to everybody. I've worked with one director who even showed the rushes to the caterers, and he was a very, very good director. Yeah. And the good ones are always open to absolutely everybody and welcome ideas. And Rafe's fantastic because he's so collaborative, and you can suggest anything to him and he won't get upset. And it's only the silly ones who think that they are the sole creator of the movie. And they're the ones I won't work with.
So who was it that showed the rushes to the catering stuff?
Fred Skepsy on Plenty.
Because I was wondering too, I mean, do you think in some ways we put too much emphasis in the industry then on directors? I mean, even at the Oscars, it's the best director. Do you think that writing perhaps is an underappreciated craft? I mean, because I was speaking to casting agents recently who were really sort of annoyed that there isn't an Oscar for best casting. And do you think that we almost put way too much emphasis on that one lone role and we don't take into consideration all of the different
No,
aspects?
Look, if you have a director who is of the top rank, I mean, I made a couple of films with Stephen Daldry, then the nature of their top rankness is that they will listen to everybody. So the director is the crucial person, there's no question. Yeah. But on the other hand, if they then try to claim the credit for the whole movie, as certain notorious directors do, and pretend they never had a screenplay at all, or worst of all, write the screenplay themselves, then that's when you're in trouble.
Yeah, because when you say you won't work with directors like that, is that from sort of hearsay, or have you had to work with them
I've had bitter experience. But now I'm too old. I'm too old to waste my time with the lone geniuses. Let them go and be lone geniuses.
And I mean, I was wondering about the balance in this film in the sense that it feels like a real celebration of art and the pursuit of kind of artistic expression. But at the same time, it's quite a sad and quite upsetting tale. What was the kind of challenges in making a film that does feel like it's got an element of hope to it, while at the same time it's quite moving and quite upsetting at the same time?
I wanted to show the dedication you need to be a great artist. You know, he worked so bloody hard. Even today, ballet dancers who are used to the discipline of working 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day at the bar in class, they will say Nureyev is the most dedicated ballet dancer they ever knew. Every single moment of the day, he was trying to improve his dancing. And, you know, that's what I want to show is involved in a great artist. It's not a God-given genius. It's the use of a God-given genius. And that's what you saw in Nureyev.
And just finally, I don't usually sit down and just decide to talk politics with people. But obviously, it seems we're approaching this kind of Brexit deadline, and you wrote a little short with Kristen Scott Thomas that was obviously related to it. So I'm just wondering. I mean, obviously, we're approaching. That. I mean, what do you think now is the best outcome of this? For use of a better word, shit show.
Well, that's rather a difficult question to throw. What is the best possible outcome?
I mean, in the sense that like we're getting so close to it now.
I suppose the country not falling into the hands of pathological liars would probably be the best possible outcome. And I think that you can clearly see on one side of the argument, there are people who you would not trust with a £5 note. And the idea that they will seize the country in some kind of, meltdown created by Theresa May's incompetence, I think is absolutely terrifying. So, all I want is for the country to end up in the hands of honourable people. And there aren't many candidates at the top of either party at the moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey You Guys!